The first question you might ask yourself before speaking in an English conversation is, how can I make the other person listen to me? Now be careful, because it's not actually the first question you should be asking yourself. Okay? There's another question that you should be asking yourself first. But that's for the next video. Okay? So I'm going to give you this one because this one is the question that a lot of English learners, or a lot of people really, want to know the answer to before they speak. So I'm going to give it to you, but watch the next video to find out what the first question you should ask yourself really is, okay? So here, how can I make the other person listen to me? Well, we're going to look at debate number 5 to address this question. Debate number 5 is person A. Let's call him Adam. Okay, let's say it's a man called Adam. And person B, let's say it's a lady called Betty. Okay, Adam and Betty, they are married, and Adam goes to work, but he's left lots of dirty dishes in the kitchen. And so when Adam comes home from work, Betty says to him, please clean those dishes, okay? Please wash the dishes, all right? And Adam says, Adam just had a long day at work, so Adam doesn't really want to clean anything right now. He wants to lie down and rest, right? So, what can Adam say to make sure that Betty listens to him? Because Betty's angry, right? Betty is angry that Adam hasn't done the dishes yet. So, how can Adam actually expect Betty to listen to anything he says without getting in a fight? Okay, try this. I completely understand. I completely understand. Okay, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Adam should lie to Betty and say that he understands that she's right and he will do the dishes, and he's only saying that to stop the conversation, and then he doesn't do the dishes. No, I'm not saying that at all. The point is to be truthful, but to have a reasonable and productive conversation where both people are listening to each other, right? So when Adam says, I completely understand, he is saying that he understands her perspective, all right? He understands why she wants him to do the dishes. But he's also saying this is not a fight. Okay, let's not fight. Let's not argue. Let's be reasonable people, reasonable human beings, and have a good conversation here. So I completely understand. That immediately tells Betty, okay, it's not a fight. It kind of calms her down. But it's not being deceptive or manipulative in a negative way, okay? The aim is to calm down. I completely understand. You can also say, I know what you mean, Betty, okay? Or the name of the person. The name is very important. When you say someone's name, they immediately feel that they have been respected, right? You're talking with them, okay? So I know what you mean, Betty. That has a similar effect, okay? Now, remember, I know that some of these phrases, you might say, well, Gabriel, that's obvious. Okay, come on, this is just obvious stuff. All right, maybe it's obvious, but how often do people actually do this, right? Sometimes the most obvious things are the things that people neglect doing. And it comes at a price, right? It comes at the price of peace. And what you want to do sometimes is think about how you can use the obvious. All right, so this works. And you can use these phrases, by the way, when you disagree with someone in any situation, or when you agree with someone even, and someone is taking you the wrong way. You can talk with people in this way, either in a business meeting or in just a conversation with your friends or your family or someone you've just met. Okay, it's very effective. Another phrase is, I can appreciate that. I can appreciate that. Again, similar effect. I understand you, right? We're on the same level of understanding here. Another one, I feel you. I feel you. This means I feel what you're saying. I feel your emotions here. And the last one, before you build on this phrase, the last one is, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying. All right? So, these 5 phrases can be something that you say at the start, but you don't end there, right? Because that's not a conversation. You need to build on from that, because as Adam, you still want to tell Betty that you're not doing the dishes, right? This is to get someone to listen to you, but it would be wrong if you said something like that and then just said, but I'm not doing anything, and then you just left, right? That's not a reasonable conversation either. And then the next time you try to talk with that person, they're not going to want to communicate with you, right? So how can you build on from that? So you explain. So you start with maybe, I completely understand. And then you say, there's just one thing I would add. Add, okay? Add is the key word here. Because you're not showing that you're not disagreeing with what Betty is saying. You're adding an extra consideration to the situation, right? The situation is more complex than just yes or no, or I want, I don't want. The situation is more complicated than that. So you just say, there's just one thing I would add, right? Add into the equation. So then you're continuing a reasonable conversation. Maybe a debate, maybe not, right? So you can also say, the thing is, right? So for example, I can appreciate that. The thing is, I've just worked for 10 hours and I'm exhausted. Okay? Now, if Adam had just said, I've just worked for 10 hours and I'm exhausted, before he said, I can appreciate that, then Betty would not have listened. But when you say, I can appreciate that, immediately there's peace. And then you say, the thing is, I'm adding here, I've just worked a long time. Give me a little break, right? Okay, so it's a conversation. It doesn't have to be a fight. You can also say, what I'm saying is, you can also say, but listen for just a second. Now, here, this is telling Betty that she's not going to have to listen to a big diatribe, right? A big speech about why you are right and she's wrong, okay? That's the point of saying just a second. Now, it might sound like you're tricking her because really it's not going to be just 1 second, but this is an expression that people do not take literally, okay? I had someone tell me that, well, if you say that, then that's deceptive. Well, this is because this is a well-known expression in English, and people do not expect that when you say 1 second or 2 seconds, that's what you actually mean. It's not supposed to be taken literally. Okay, so it just means just listen for me for just a quick time, a short time, okay? And the last one here is just hear me out. Just hear me out. Right? So for example, you could say, I completely understand. Just hear me out. Tomorrow's Saturday, and I have the whole day to do the dishes tomorrow, and I'm exhausted. Please give me a break. Okay? This is how to make someone listen to you, by being reasonable, by making it peaceful. All right? Now, I think you'll find that generally people want to understand other people if you just ask. It's just that people don't know how to understand others, right? But if you ask nicely and politely, then I think you'll find that you will have a lot more people listening to you. It's just that maybe you don't know how because your English fluency is not so good yet, right? Which is why I'm teaching you this now. So that was how to make someone listen to you. That's question 1 that you can ask yourself. But it's not the most important, and it's not the first question you should ask. Remember, the first question you should ask is in the next video. So watch that. All right? Keep learning, my friend, and keep going.